Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into the fascinating world of judo.
That's right.
You've sent us some great material, and, well, our mission here is to pull out the key stuff, give you a real feel for this martial art, this sport, without, drowning you in detail.
Sounds good. It's a great topic.
Okay, let's get started then. Where does judo actually come from? It feels old, but maybe not.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Compared to some martial arts, judo is actually quite modern. It was developed in Japan by Professor Jigoro Kano.
Jigoro Kano.
He started teaching it formally back in 1882.
1882. Wow. So Kano.
Yeah.
He was born near Kobe, 1860, wasn't he?
That's correct. And he didn't just invent judo out of thin air. He studied the older art, jujitsu, pretty intensively.
Jiu-jitsu. That goes way back, like, 1500.
Exactly. 1532 is often cited. So Kano learned from several different jujitsu masters. He took that knowledge and then started refining it, creating his own school, his own exercise.
That he called judo.
Which he called judo. And those beginnings were, well, pretty humble.
Yeah, I saw that. Like 9 students.
Just 9 students to start in 1882. And the space, the mat, it was tiny, like 12 by 18 feet.
Amazing. Okay, so fast forward to today. 2 judokas step onto the mat. What's the actual objective? What are they trying to do?
Well, in a competition setting, the main goal is pretty straightforward. Score more points than your opponent. That's how you win the bout.
Right. Points.
Now, there's obviously a deep Eastern philosophy behind judo, but for the sport itself, it's about scoring.
And you score points through.
Primarily through throws, taking your opponent off their feet and onto their back, and through holds, controlling them on the ground.
Okay. Throws and holds.
And of course, you can lose points, or rather, your opponent gains points if you commit penalties, infringements.
Makes sense.
Wait.
So let's talk about the setup, the mat. It's called the tatami.
Yep, the tatami. The whole thing is pretty big, 14 meters by 14 meters.
14 square.
But the actual fighting area, the contest area, is marked inside that. That's 10 by 10 meters.
Okay. And the outfit they wear, that white
Yeah.
or sometimes blue uniform.
That's the gi. The traditional judo uniform. It actually evolved from the kimono and other Japanese clothing.
And it looks pretty tough.
Oh, it has to be. Think about all the pulling and gripping. It takes a beating. There are rules about the fit, too.
Right. I remember reading something about sleeve length.
Exactly. The sleeves and the pant legs, when your arms or legs are straight, shouldn't be more than 5 centimeters above your wrists or ankles.
Why is that?
It's about fairness, mainly. Ensures both players have a decent chance to get a grip. Not too much material, not too little.
Gotcha. And the belt obviously holds the gi closed, but it means more than that, right?
Absolutely. The belt signifies rank, your progression in judo. Different colors mean different levels of experience and skill. And yeah, there's a specific way to tie it.
Okay, so we've got the players, the mat, the gis. How do they actually rack up those points? You mentioned throws and holds. What are the scores called?
There are 3 main scores you can get. In order of highest value, they are Ippon, Waza-ari, and Yuko.
Ippon. That sounds like the big one.
It is. Ippon basically means 1 point, but it signifies a full point, an instant win. Match over.
How do you get an Ippon?
Several ways. A decisive throw is the most spectacular, usually. You throw your opponent, they land largely on their back, and it has to be done with considerable force, speed, and control.
Okay, a really solid throw.
Yep. Or if the fight goes to the ground, you can get an ippon by holding your opponent down in a recognized pin, like osekomi, for 25 seconds straight.
25 seconds. That sounds like a long time in a match.
It can feel like an eternity. The third way is submission if your opponent taps out because you've applied a legal arm lock or a choke hold, effectively.
Arm lock or choke. Okay, so Ippon ends the match. What about the next one down? Waza-ari.
Waza-ari is like a half point, almost an ippon, but not quite. You get it for a throw that's good, but maybe lacks one of the key elements of an ippon throw, maybe not quite enough force, or the landing wasn't flat on the back.
So close but no cigar.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You also get a waza-ari for holding your opponent down for 20 seconds, so just under the ippon time.
20 seconds.
And here's a key thing. 2 waza-aris in a match equal an ippon. So if you score a second waza-ari, the match ends right there. Waza-ari, a waza-ippon, they call it.
Okay. 2 halves make a whole, and the last score, Yuko.
Yuko is the lowest score. It's for techniques that show some effect, but less than a waza-ari, like a shorter hold, maybe 15 seconds.
15.
Or a throw that puts the opponent down but doesn't meet the waza-ari criteria, or maybe a submission attempt that causes discomfort but doesn't get the tap.
So how do these stack up? Like, can you win with a bunch of Yukos?
Well, here's the hierarchy. Any single waza-ari beats any number of
Oh,
yukos.
right.
So you could have 5 yukos, but if your opponent scores 1 waza-ari, they're ahead. And of course, 1 upon beats everything else, any combination of waza-aris and yukos.
So the system really pushes for those decisive high-scoring techniques.
Definitely. It encourages positive attacking judo.
Okay, scoring makes sense. Now, what about breaking the rules? Penalties.
Right, penalties are a big part of it too. There are 2 main types. Shido for minor stuff, and Hansakurumek for major violations.
Let's start with Shido. What kind of things get you a minor penalty?
It covers a range of things, often related to passivity or illegal gripping, like stalling, deliberately avoiding combat for too long.
Not fighting.
Yeah, basically. Or prolonged non-aggression. Specific grip infringements, too, like grabbing inside the opponent's sleeve opening or holding grips on both sides of their belt without attacking quickly.
How quickly?
Usually within about 3 to 5 seconds, you need to be making an attack if you have certain dominant grips like that. Also, being overly defensive, like constantly blocking without trying to throw or stepping out of the contest area without a good reason.
And what happens when you get a Shido? Is it just a warning?
The first one is just a warning, but they add up. The second Shido you receive gives your opponent a Yuko score.
Ah, okay.
The third Shido gives your opponent a Wazari.
Wow, that's significant.
And if you get a fourth Shido, that's it. It automatically gives your opponent an Ippon, and the match is over.
4 strikes and you're out. So those little things can really cost you.
Absolutely. You have to be disciplined.
So what warrants the big penalty? The Hansoku make? That sounds serious.
It is. Hansoku make means disqualification from the match, an automatic loss. You get it for major rule breaches.
Like what? Punching.
Exactly. Punching, kicking, any kind of striking. Also, applying illegal joint locks, anything targeting the wrists, fingers, knees, ankles, or spine is forbidden. Only certain arm locks on the elbow are allowed.
Okay, safety first.
Definitely. Certain dangerous throws are also banned. And importantly, especially in Olympic judo rules now, grabbing the opponent's leg or trousers directly to initiate a throw, that's a big no-no. That can get you a Hansoku make straight away.
That was a relatively recent rule change, wasn't it? The leg grab thing.
Yes, it was controversial for a while, but it's aimed at promoting more traditional upright judo throwing. Oh, and you also get a Hansoku make if you just accumulate 4 shudos, as we said.
Right. And if you get Hansoku make for a major foul, not just the 4 Shidos, are there bigger consequences?
Yes. Besides losing the match, if it's for a serious infringement, like a dangerous act or unsportsmanlike conduct, you can actually be expelled from the entire tournament.
Okay, so they really enforce the rules.
Yeah.
Now, we think of judo throws, the stand-up stuff, tachiwaza, but there's ground fighting too, right? No waza.
Correct. Tachiwaza, the standing techniques often get the highlights, but nawaza, the groundwork, is absolutely essential.
How essential.
Well, think about it. 3 of the 4 ways to score that Ippon we talked about happen on the ground.
Oh, yeah, the pin, the arm lock, the choke,
Exactly. So you ignore groundwork at your peril.
and the scoring on the ground. Just to recap, it's based on time for the pins.
That's right. 25 seconds for Ippon, 20 for waza-ari, 15 for yuko. But just being on top isn't enough. You need proper control in a recognized hold. Just lying on someone doesn't score.
I've sometimes heard people, fans maybe, say that refs stand competitors up too quickly from the ground in modern judo. Is that a thing?
It's definitely a point of discussion. You do see matches where if there isn't like immediate progress towards a pin or a submission, the referee will call mat and restart them standing.
Why do they do that?
Well, there are arguments both ways. Some say it keeps the action moving, keeps it spectator-friendly, encourages more throws. Others feel it can sometimes cut short legitimate groundwork strategies or penalize fighters who are methodically working for a position.
So it might be a trend in how the sport is refereed or played now.
Possibly. Groundwork can also be really tiring, and matches have time limits. Plus, high-level judoka are often incredibly good at defending on the ground, so achieving a score there can be tough and time-consuming.
Right. And the submissions allowed, the arm locks and chokes, they are specific to judo, different from, say, Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yes. The rules are different regarding which submissions are legal. Judo allows certain elbow joint locks and various chokes or strangles, but things like wrist locks or leg locks are generally illegal.
Okay, so who actually does judo? Is it just elite athletes heading for the Olympics?
Oh, not at all. Judo is practiced by tons of people, all ages, all around the world. For fitness, self-defense, discipline, recreation, it's very widespread.
But it is a big Olympic sport.
Absolutely. It's one of the core martial arts in the Summer Olympics, huge international competition.
And I read it's inclusive too. like in the Special Olympics.
Yes, that's a really important aspect. Judo is included in the Special Olympics, which provides opportunities for athletes with intellectual disabilities.
How does that work? Are the rules different?
They are adapted. There are different competition levels based on the athlete's abilities. Some might compete quite closely with mainstream recreational levels. Others might focus more on adapted drills or randori, which is like free practice. And crucially, there are modified rules, especially regarding prohibited techniques, to ensure safety for everyone involved.
That's great. What does typical judo training involve then? Is it just throwing each other?
Haha, well, there's a lot of that, but it's much more comprehensive. Training involves games and drills to build reaction time, balance, that judo feel, also building fighting spirit, speed,
Mental aspects too.
definitely, and specific technique, practice turnovers into holds, refining throws, combination attacks. And absolutely vital is learning ukemi, how to fall safely. Brick falls are maybe the first and most important thing you learn.
Makes sense. You're going
Yeah.
to fall a lot. Okay, let's shift to strategy. When you watch high-level judo, it looks like there's a real battle just for grips, even before a throw happens.
Oh, completely. Grip fighting, or kumikata, is huge GE. It's often called the start of the throw.
Hmm.
How you grip, how you break your opponent's grips, it dictates everything.
What are the main scenarios there?
Broadly speaking, you can think of three main grip situations. There's the standard symmetrical grip ayotsu, where both players have the same grip, like right hand versus right hand on the lapel.
Okay, mirror image.
Then there's kenkayotsu, the asymmetrical or opposite grip, like a right-hander versus a left-hander. This changes the angles completely. Within kenkayotsu, you can have variations depending on whether one person's main controlling hand, the tsurite, is above or below the opponent's.
So right, that's
Yeah.
the lifting hand. On the lapel usually.
Yeah, typically the hand gripping the lapel area, used for lifting and control. The other hand, usually on the sleeve, is the haikite, the pulling hand. Balancing the action of these two hands is key for posture, attack, and defense.
So you need to be good in all these grip fights.
Ideally, yes. You need to know how to establish your preferred grip, even when the situation is symmetrical or asymmetrical, and how to counter your opponent's grip. There are recommendations like keeping the tsurite around shoulder height, wrists near the collarbone, and the haikite pulling towards your own abdomen to maintain strong posture.
And you can manipulate the opponent's grip too.
Definitely. There are subtle ways to use your wrist and hand position on their sleeve or lapel to disrupt their balance, control their movement, create openings, or defend. It's a constant chess match with grips.
I saw something about a square box and a diamond box. What's that about?
Ah, yeah, that's a way to visualize the connection in space between you and your opponent. Imagine your arms and their torso forming a kind of box. The square box is usually a stable position, good posture, ready to attack or defend.
Okay, stable.
The diamond box is when that structure gets distorted, usually as you initiate a technique. You break their balance, create angles. You shift from square to diamond to execute the throw.
Can you give an example with a specific throw?
Sure. Think about throws with rotation, like serenage, the shoulder throw, or harai goshi, sweeping hip throw. You often use your pulling hand, the hikite, to pull them off balance, turning that square box into more of a rhomboid or diamond shape as you rotate in for the throw.
Right, creating an angle.
Exactly. Whereas for a throw like a sotogari, major outer reaping, you might establish a square box, then step in, attacking their leg, moving through a diamond phase, and ultimately aiming to close all space as you drive them backwards.
A core tactic seemed to be attacking the supporting leg.
Absolutely fundamental. The jikuashi, the leg bearing most of the weight, is the prime target for destabilization in many throws, whether you're in a standard or opposite grip situation.
Does strategy change much if you're fighting someone taller or shorter?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you have a symmetrical grip against someone taller, you might try to create a bit more space, stay square, and look for techniques where you can get underneath them. Pulling their high grip down is also key.
And against someone shorter.
Often, you want to close the distance, maybe break the square box into a diamond quickly, apply pressure, use your height and reach to control them, and prevent them from getting inside your defense.
And those opposite stance grips, Kinkyosu, you mentioned they're more complex.
They often are, yeah. Your feet can get tangled, the angles are different, the gripping is more intricate. It often comes down to who has the better technical skill and understanding of leverage in that specific situation.
The sources mentioned a big 6 and a small 4 set of techniques. What's that about?
It's a common way to think about fundamental throws. The big 6 are seen as covering the main types of throwing actions. They are seonage,
Shoulder throw.
right, taiotoshi, body drop, Harai Goshi, sweeping hip, Uchimata, inner thigh throw, Osotogari, major outer reap, and Okigari, major inner reap.
Those sound like the classics.
They really are. If you get decent at those 6, you have a very solid foundation for attacking in most directions.
And the small 4.
They complement the big ones, adding finesse and options for attacking the feet and legs more subtly. Things like Kouchigari, minor inner reap, Ashibarai, a quick foot sweep, Sasetsuri Komiashi, propping ankle throw, and Kosotogari, minor outer reap.
Mastering these adds a lot more variety to your attacks.
Okay. We've mentioned the Olympics and Special Olympics, which obviously implies there are governing bodies setting rules and organizing things.
Yeah, for sure. You have the International Judo Federation, IJF, globally, national governing bodies in each country, and then specific committees or organizations overseeing judo within events like the Olympics and Special Olympics. They handle the rules, rankings, competitions, etc.
And judo started in Japan, spread worldwide. Its cultural impact seems pretty significant beyond just being a sport. I think so. Its roots are Japanese, but its adoption globally, its Olympic status, that speaks volumes. And the core principles, discipline, mutual respect, self-improvement, the idea of maximum efficiency, minimum effort, these have a broader resonance for people who practice it, impacting their lives off the mat too.
And it's not static, right? It seems to evolve.
Definitely. We talked about the leg grab rule change in Olympic judo. That's a clear example of evolution. And even discussions about groundwork pacing show that competitive trends and interpretations change over time. It's a living art and sport.
Going back to the Special Olympics rules for a moment, you mentioned prohibited techniques for safety. Can you give a bit more detail?
Sure. For the higher ability levels, levels 3, 4, 5, certain categories of techniques are generally forbidden in competition, or shiai. This includes all sacrifice throws, sutumiwaza, where you throw by putting yourself onto the ground first. Also, joint locks other than the approved elbow locks, so no wrist locks, leg locks, etc. Chokes, or shimewaza, are also usually out for these levels, as are triangle holds, sankaku techniques. Throws where you drop to 1 or 2 knees and applying direct pressure to the head, neck, or throat are also prohibited.
And for the other levels?
For levels 1 and 2, the restrictions are similar and sometimes broader, often also prohibiting sutemiwaza, kansetsuwaza, joint locks, and shimewaza chokes. The focus is really on safe participation and fundamental skills. Even in kata, the prearranged forms, if a technique is prohibited for that level, it has to be modified or replaced by the person performing it. Tori, and the person receiving the technique, uke, should also adjust their reactions.
That level of care and adaptation is really commendable. Well, this has been a fantastic look into judo. We've covered where it came from with Jigoro Kano, the basic objectives, scoring, penalties, the gear, the mat.
Yeah, and who participates from kids starting out to Olympians and Special Olympics athletes. Plus, a glimpse into the strategy, the grip fighting, the key techniques.
It really strikes me as this blend of, like, intense physical skill and almost mental chess.
That's a great way to put it. The principles of balance, using an opponent's momentum, staying calm under pressure, they're central to judo.
So, here's something to think about as we wrap up. How could those Judo principles, finding balance, not just physically, but maybe mentally, using energy efficiently, showing respect even in conflict, how might those ideas apply, maybe in unexpected ways, to challenges or situations in your own life?
That's a deep thought. Food for thought, definitely.
And if we've piqued your interest, maybe look up some videos of those big 6 throws, or read more about Kano's philosophy, or perhaps even, find a local club and give it a try. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.